What's up, everyone? This is Adam, and we are back here for another episode of the Long Run Podcast. And today we're going to be going over Cobra Kai Season 2, a follow-up to Season 1. We're very, very excited. I know it's been a little bit of a while since we had that last episode. My fault, not on any of these wonderful people, completely on me. Just had to visit my folks, but I'm really excited to be. We brought the band back together again. Everyone from the last episode is here today. So why don't we go through? We have, of course, the resident professional here. Mark, how you doing today, man?
Pretty good. How you been, man?
I'm good, man. Me and Mark, we got into this little thing about Ghostbusters earlier this week. So I'm really excited to be talking to him again. Of course, next to him, we have Andrew. Andrew, how you doing, man?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to hear from you again. I'm sorry that we didn't get a chance to connect while I was back home, but I'm sure we'll connect again real soon. Next to him, of course, we have the man of the people, the voice of the people. We have Padromi. How you doing today, brother?
You flatter me with that intro every time, Adam. I'm doing okay, brother.
Come on, man. How could you not mention everything that you've done with 5DB? You have to always say it. I feel weird if I didn't say it. And last but certainly not least, we have Abby, the person who's actually going to school for all this stuff. She's way smarter than me or way more talented than I am when it comes to this stuff. Abby, how are you doing today?
I'm so good. I feel, you know what? I'm so excited to talk about Cobra Kai.
I am too. And also, just because we've been talking about it for literally the last 10 minutes, shout out to Abby for telling me about the Gospel of Letterboxd. If y'all haven't gone on that, please do. Can't recommend it enough.
Do they have ambassadors?
I don't know. Letterboxd, listen, this is definitely not sponsored, but if you want, talk to me. I'll do it for a free membership of the year. That's fine. But today we're going to be talking about Cobra Kai Season 2. Now, Season 1, we spent an entire episode talking about it, so obviously we're not going to recap everything. But generally, we all seem to be very, very, receptive to it. We all thought it was really, really good. And especially with that cliffhanger at the end, right, where we see the man himself, John Kreese, back again in that classic shot with the cigar in the darkness. With that shot, I have to ask, were you immediately I need to watch Season 2? What was your feeling when you saw that last moment in Season 1?
I think I knew that he showed up in Season 2, so I was kind of expecting it. I feel like that the shot is kind of just the classic, end of the thing. Character comes back to their house and there's a guy in the shadows. It's the Nick Fury shot. But I love John Kreese so much. He's such a fun villain. So I was pretty hyped to see that he was gonna be a mainstay from that point onward.
So my first reaction was like, bruh. I didn't know much about the series going into when I first watched it. So when I saw him, I was literally laying in bed. I jumped out of my bed, y'all, and I freaked out. And it was 2 a.m. I'm pretty sure my neighbor woke up. And I immediately started Season 2 from that moment because I had to continue. I was definitely I was hyped, to say the least.
Honestly, when he popped up, I was like, "This is the best moment of my life."
I can't. I was gonna say, I feel like I binged them both together last summer, and it was kind of it felt like a natural, inclination where the series would go next, because I feel like it was kind of I feel like Season 1, it's who's our main villain. It's kind of Johnny versus himself versus versus the Russo clan incorporated. But then I feel now they're okay, Johnny's kind of the anti-hero now, so it's who is he going to go up against now, because he's kind of figured himself out a little bit. So it made a lot of sense to me, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Progression of story.
Yeah. I think it was a really natural step. I'm going to be honest. This sounds so morbid, but I didn't know the actor for John Kreese was still alive. I thought he died. This sounds so morbid. I'm so sorry. No disrespect. I always pictured, I guess because I saw it when I was young, I always assumed that he was 50 in the original Karate Kid movies. Apparently not the case. I just assumed that he was a senior citizen and was in a nursing home or dead. I didn't know.
Great shape, dude.
He is.
He aged very well.
He's
pretty damn good.
Yeah.
One of those big, hard, leathery man faces.
Rip.
100%. He listen. He took care of himself.
The man is 74 years old, by the way. I had to Wikipedia. He is
What?
74. He looks fantastic.
Is he doing his own stunts for this?
I have no idea.
'Cause
That's
if
actually
so,
a great
good,
question.
good for him.
Yeah. I wonder, like, if he. This goes for, I suppose, all the actors, Johnny and Danny, too. I wonder if they all, like, maintain their martial arts training in between. I'm pretty sure Johnny did. I don't know for 100% if that's true, but I'm pretty sure he did. Um, but regardless, right? We ended off season one with the the homage to the first Karate Kid movie where we had the All Valley tournament, lots of drama. Robbie got hit with the injury. Miguel, he definitely stuck to Cobra Kai. He went a little hard, and after that, we kind of go right into season two, where we feel the fallout of that a little bit. And this was something that I was really happy to see, right? That immediately there's consequences to the actions of the characters, and I think it's a really good reflection of Johnny too, because one of the best parts about that finale is that Johnny has stakes on both sides, right? Obviously, he loves his son. He doesn't want to see his son get hurt. At the same time, he loves Cobra Kai, right? The entire season is about him building up Cobra Kai, right? And trying to make it better than it was before. And it kind of crumbles in front of him, right? Because this is the thing he wanted to prevent from happening. Then it kind of just happened all over again. It was like, that line of just like time is a flat circle. Everything happens over and over again kind of thing. And I want to hear both of you, or excuse me, all of you, kind of how you felt about it. How do you think Johnny kind of handled the situation?
That part was honestly one of my season two highlights for the entire season was the way Johnny kind of recontextualized what it means to be Cobra Kai. Because I feel like season two overall, I feel like it had some higher peaks, but it also had some lower dips. For me, it was less consistent, but it had some higher highs and lower lows. Johnny reacting to the fallout of the tournament and incorporating that into his class, where they're all getting cocky, they're all celebrating, and he basically lays it out for him. And it's like, yeah, you attacked a guy with his back was turned. Guess what? That's not badass. That's a bitch move. Do some push-ups. And it's like, I love that. It doesn't go full on like, no, okay, actually I was wrong. Cobra Kai is bad and you need to be honorable. It's no, Cobra Kai is awesome. You just did something underhanded and that's lame. Don't be lame. It found a way to progress him morally while still sticking to like the 80s, heavy metal attitude of Cobra Kai, and I like that. I wasn't expecting it to go in that direction.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting to consider also is that like he had that opening scene with Kreese, right? Like he grabs him and he has this moment of like, I can't, I hate you, like you made me the way I am, and then like he also like thinks of everything that Kreese has done for him, and he like kind of like he's like, all right, well, you're here now, and then he knows like what Kreese is capable of, and he comes that first day to training the next day with all the students coming and celebrating, and it's just like he can see it happening all over again. It was like this all the stars were aligning in the worst way possible for him in this moment. It was like his Miguel came back after that sweet victory, after the cheap shot, and then Chris is back and Cobra Kai is like on top, but for all the wrong reasons all over again. And he's just like, I cannot let this spiral out of control once more. I need to do something about this, and I really enjoyed, like, to your point, he just kind of like nipped it in the butt right there and started spinning and changing the perception, right, flipping it on its head, honestly.
I think these guys covered it.
Andrew, did you have anything, or are you with Abby on that one?
Well, just to comment on what Mark said, like completely agree with him. I love the way that Johnny pretty much handled that whole situation. There has to be an honor in a fight. You see Kreese, like if you go back to the first movie, the Karate Kid, he's kind of like the no mercy. Even if pretty much take the cheapest shot. But Johnny's like, no, you have to do it the right way. There's an honor to it. Kind of like, I don't know, it just seemed like very much like a Yoda situation. In all honesty, like take the fight with integrity.
Yeah, like I just like not to get ahead of ourselves, but like if this series wraps up and Johnny is like meditating and writing haikus under a pretty bonsai
Oh
tree, like
my
I'm gonna be disappointed.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he can slam shitty beer and talk about being a badass, but also be a good person. I like that they don't, uh, to use an awful pun, have to defang Cobra Kai for it to be, no
Wow.
longer the bad
Wow.
guys.
That's
Wow.
insightful right there. That was
Right?
Damn.
insightful right
Wasn't
there,
that
Mark.
wasn't that miserable? Wasn't that an
Metaphysical
awful
in
pun?
so many ways.
Damn, Mark. Whew. Listen, I'm inspired by Mark right now. I'm just gonna go on a limb and say this. Johnny is my favorite part of this season. Like I loved what they did with the character in season two,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
in that again it continues the journey because we talked about this in season one where it's really a more of Johnny's story than it is necessarily Danny's. But the thing with Johnny is that he's trying so hard to be better, and like you can't help but feel cheer him on and want him to do good. But I think in this season they really go a bit deeper into why. Not only is the why the way he is, but like they do a very good job of exposing him and being vulnerable, right? While still being, to Mark's credit, like he said, like the heavy metal chorus pounding dude. But there's still those moments of softness and those moments of vulnerability where you get more insight to him, but also you get to see him reflect and grow from those things that happen. I think he's absolutely the MVP of this season.
Yeah.
By far. And I just want to say, like, he starts out at the beginning of the series as someone that you kind of pity and feel bad for. And as you, like, his evolution is insane in this show. He becomes someone that you pity to someone that you really learn to respect.
Absolutely. Jeremy and Abby, did you guys feel the same way about Johnny in this season, or did you kind of see it a different way in terms of maybe who the MVP was, or even just the role that Johnny played in this season?
No, I totally think it's Johnny. He's the MVP. He's the more, I would even say, the conduit, I think, in which the best storytelling kind of emerges. Because I feel like everyone has like
Mm.
these separate storylines, and I think
Right.
through him, he's almost the way in which those are all connected. Because I mean, he is the lead, even though you could say it is Daniel. It's not. So I think he really comes more into that, especially in this season. And I do really think giving Kreese as like a deuteragonist, like having that ultimate big bad
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
antagonist, while he can slip into that anti-hero persona and let. But then I even, you know what, I say that, but then I'm thinking now, I kind of think, is Daniel an anti-hero more so now, like
Yes,
trope wise? And I think
absolutely.
maybe, I think yeah, right.
I don't know if I agree with that. Maybe partially, but
Like
I just
personally,
yeah, maybe partially to be honest with you. I just want to say I don't like Danny at all in this series. I really, honestly, like the movie versus the show, like you really realize how much of a dick Danny is. But Kreese is the coolest villain in this show. I just want to say.
yeah, he's the big bad.
He was a necessary introduction because
I
it's
agree.
like how as much as I love watching Johnny and Danny butt heads, it's like you need something a little bit more. You need an
The
element of
tension.
chaos stirring
Yeah.
the pot.
It's like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin, and then you have Palpatine as Kreese.
Yeah.
It's a great way to put it. I actually like that a lot.
I'm just imagining John Kreese shooting lightning out of his fingers, lighting the cigar.
Yeah, I gotta agree with pretty much the general consensus that Johnny is definitely the MVP of this season. I mean, we addressed it in season one how basically the entire series is kind of around him and his development. But it's interesting because oftentimes when you see shows and movies like this, it's like the really young person, the middle teen. Like anime is notorious for it, right? The high school student, like who's just going through it and is becoming this and growing to be this, person. But Johnny being like this, I mean, middle-aged male, like seeing his evolution as an adult, right? Because proving once again, like it's never too late to make a change for the better, and like I think it's really remarkable to see how he develops and changes, and I gotta agree with Andrew here. Like I Danny Russo, he just bugs me the entire series. Like Just give my man Johnny a break for a change. Ask him a question at some point. Like, come on, bro. But yeah, overall, I thought Johnny's definitely MVP of the series.
Yeah, I definitely I think I'm more towards Abby, where like Danny's like an anti-hero, but there's no question about it. And Danny's like a judgmental prick in this season.
Yeah.
It's like oh
Season two, I think he's more of an anti-hero. Season one, he was pretty much an outright antagonist.
Oh
His
yeah.
motivation was just like, "What's this? A small business that I disagree with? Better swallow it whole for bureaucracy."
Oh my god. A strip
In
mall.
season two, at least
for
he's tending his garden. He's trying to do some nice things here and there.
I know, and he almost won me over with all that nostalgia. Didn't let him go.
ooh, there was some power. They dropped the nostalgia bombs hard in season two
Hardcore.
for sure. They dropped it. But before we even get to Danny, I think it's impossible to talk about Johnny. And we'll talk about his favorite moments as we talk about like just the general story. But I think it's impossible to talk about Johnny and without talking about his relationship with Kreese. And I think that's one of the most interesting relationships in the entire show. Like, sure, there's Johnny and Miguel and Robbie, and then Danny and Robbie and Danny and his daughter. But even more so, I think this like delicate kind of balance, because there's something to be said about how Johnny does forgive him in the beginning, and that he does let Kreese back into his life. That's kind of powerful in a way that like the mentor is like bowing down to the student and saying like, please let me back in. And I think that the other thing is too, I was shocked by this. I thought I didn't think that they would bother to do this, but they gave Kreese like a legitimate backstory, and I was like, damn, I feel kind of bad for this guy. He's still I still think he's going to be the villain of this season, but like I feel bad. Like when he went to the veterans home, I was like, damn man, I'm sorry.
Everybody gets a little something. Every character is treated like a human being, even the cartoonishly evil John Kreese. Even he gets a little something.
Absolutely, yeah. How did you all feel? Go ahead.
I think that was Martin Crove's input. Like I think that was like his personal headcanon for Kreese all the way through the series, was that he was a former Vietnam vet who was so messed up by the fact that they lost the war, that in his older age he could not tolerate losing, even if it was just a little children's strip mall karate class.
Oh my god, that's so sad.
Well, if that is the case, like props to him for that, because I think it really added to the story. But it was interesting to kind of see like the dual like teacher relationship, I think, of how they're both teachers to the students and how there's like good cop, bad cop almost in a way. But I'd love to hear what all of you think about, how Kreese kind of came back in and that kind of dynamic with Johnny, and then subsequently with Cobra Kai and the students.
Honestly, at the very beginning, I really felt bad for him. Like, I really gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I was like, man, like maybe he's like changed his ways. But like there was still part of me was like, you know what, he's still probably a dick, but let's just give him a chance. And I gave him a chance, and my hopes kind of like got crushed because he was really a dick.
For me, like I really valued the relationship and the dynamic that they had. Like you can tell there was this level of like dedication to each other, but also like a level of resentment, obviously, from Johnny towards Kreese, and a level of shame from Kreese to Johnny, but less like accountability to that shame, I think, on Kreese's end, than the disappointment going the other way. I think like everyone else, like it's hard to not feel bad for Kreese in that situation, but Kreese also wasn't really doing himself any favors. Like I don't know if it was like a PTSD thing, or like just a mental issue. Like Kreese just never, his mindset never changed. He never moved away from it, right? Like, and the moment he got a hold of Hawk, like it was just like full. And I know Andrew can't. Mark's gonna be so excited to talk about that whole dynamic.
Oh,
But once he gets a hold of Hawk, it's just like that, you see it immediately, like Kreese's gears start turning, and he's just like, oh, this is my chance. I'm taking it back, and it's just like, come on, bro, my man Johnny's making strides here, and you're being so damn selfish. You know,
That's like one of the best things that I think Kreese brought to this season was
Oh
that
yeah.
he legitimized Daniel's paranoia about Cobra Kai. Because season one, it was
Yeah.
like Daniel was very clearly in the wrong. It was like, oh, my high school bully is trying to open a small business, and it's like Danny, like take a chill pill, relax a little
Chill
bit.
out, bro.
Yeah.
And then John
Shout out to
Kreese shows up, and now it's like, okay, Johnny was a dick in high school. Kreese has always been a lunatic, so maybe you're a little justified now that Kreese is back. Let's see
Right.
what happens. You're constantly guessing with him, and I love that. I love how he mixes things up this season.
Just mentioning the Hawk, I I, I
There we go.
literally love him, man. He's freaking awesome. He is literally mini Kreese in this season.
Oh.
What a good antagonist.
I-
What a bunch of good antagonists.
I have
Yeah,
so
they
many
are.
thoughts on Hawk. We'll save
Yeah.
it for when we get there. Jeez, I have so many
Oh
thoughts.
boy.
I do want to say though that as the first like kind of thing of training with Johnny and Kreese, I was like not expecting Johnny to be like, "Hey guys, let's go to the cement truck." Yeah, go in there. I was like, "Oh my god, what the
Yeah,
fuck is
that's-
happening?"
I was
Hardcore.
full on expecting it to be a trick where like the gag is that Johnny was actually controlling the truck and making the barrel rotate, or like they
Yeah,
would climb in
same.
there and there wouldn't be any cement. Like I thought there was going to be some kind of work to it, but nope. It's just go muck around in this big thing of cement. Hope it doesn't harden on you.
See.
Yeah, I got nervous. Not gonna lie, I was definitely I got nervous on their behalf while they were doing
Cement's
that.
getting in the hawk. It's getting in the hair.
I was
I was
like,
like, the parents are definitely not gonna approve if they, keep this going on.
definitely not. And then even then, the next day or not the next day, but like one of the next trainings where they go to the park or like the forest, and it's like the like crazy game of like capture
That
the
was
flag,
so cool.
but also tag. I was like, I don't
That was
know
fun.
who came up with this. This is like some Hunger Games stuff, but sure, go ahead. It was still a really cool set piece. It was hilarious the way it ended, but I'd love to hear how you all. I want to know what you all thought.
That scene had the one joke involving what's his name, the Stingray guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That battle royale had the one joke involving him that actually worked for me, where it's the big dramatic Miguel Hawk confrontation, and then he just pops out of a pile of leaves and starts monologuing about how the stingray will bury itself under sand to ambush its prey.
And it
And
works.
it's like that's so stupid. It made me laugh really, really hard. Nothing
But
else
he's-
about that guy works for me, but I like that part.
But he succeeded. It was just like he was foreshadowing his own success in that battle royale. Like Homeboy comes out of nowhere and just wins the whole joint.
The
Like,
best
after that,
the
Miguel
best part of
Hawk
that gag is then Kreese's face, and he's like it's the first and I think only time in the entire series that Kreese is visibly caught off guard by something.
It's uncomfortable. Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
what?
It's like, what the fuck?
He's like, this is
Okay.
not the way in the 80s. I feel like it's like that culture shock sometimes where it's like, wait, what is cool now in the 2010s?
He was definitely just like, man, Hawk was supposed to win this, bro. What the heck? It
Yeah.
was like, I know you're on my team, but come on, man. This was not the plan.
I don't know about this guy, but this maniacal stingray speech he's given, this is working for me.
Yeah.
So, that dynamic kind of obviously carries on throughout the season. And like, there's a lot of like testing, right? Of just like, are they going to stay together? Are they not? Are like, sometimes Johnny gets a little suspicious, and Kreese is like, nah, man, nothing to worry about, blah, 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 blah. And eventually it gets to a point, right, where Johnny has to leave for only a couple of days, and we all hope that those couple of days aren't going to be, too catastrophic. Of course, we're wrong. But
Exactly.
I think that the important thing there is even more than like the fallout of that. I think what Johnny went through on like his like sabbatical, whatever you want to call it, that was some powerful stuff. That was some. I think that was really, really. I was not expecting the show to go in that direction.
About Take a Right? Is that
Yeah.
the episode?
Yes.
Okay, that was about like halfway through the season. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was out of the entire season, like out of all, that was like I think even almost both seasons that kind of for me was probably the strongest episode. Honestly, I just thought it had a lot of layers, and I think especially with a real life actor going through a
Yeah.
similar situation, I
Mhm.
think that is a really respectful but also considerate way of looking at characters that we often categorize as background characters. And I think it's like, oh, it's a background character, it doesn't matter, but I just think it makes the world so much richer by giving them
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah.
I don't know, I thought it was fascinating but
That
also
was probably
really
one of my
well
favorite
done.
episodes.
It's
Yeah.
definitely up there. Yeah.
If it's okay, if I can like derail us for like a hot second here,
It's okay. Go.
just because like I want to kind of jump back to the beginning of the season,
Sure.
right? Because there were a couple more like dynamics that went down, kind of all in line. Because like even after that first training session, like that's also the same time when Johnny runs into Daniel and Robbie shopping, right? And that's like the first time he sees his son after the tournament,
Right.
and like Robbie just like snaps on Johnny and just like, dude, like Mr. LaRusso is like a better man than you ever will be.
Ooh.
And like that whole like I felt mortified on behalf of Johnny in that moment. Like it was just like that whole like the whole first episode of the season, it was just like one like reset for Johnny. It was just like he was doing so well, and then just like it was just he was just catching a bunch of L's in the beginning, like, and that was part of it.
Just remembered what really matters. Your
I
strip
do have
mall karate dojo's going well, but your son still hates you.
your son, but I was also gonna say, which I noticed y'all didn't mention with Kreese and Johnny, but this is like very dark, but especially in abusive relationships, it takes a lot of times before you can get out of something. I'm sure y'all know this with like especially like domestic abuse, you have to leave like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
usually 10 plus times before they can leave their relationship. And I think just in general with toxic relationships, and this is a mentor-mentee relationship, which is toxic, I think they do a good job of showing the idealization also that comes along with it, where you believe that they can change, or those soul-crushing moments where you're proved absolutely wrong. And it's not it's not you leave and it's all done, so I do think that's kind of important. And I think you just talked about that scene in particular, which I don't know, because Johnny is so Kreese is so important to Johnny, especially when you look at his family background.
Yeah.
And then you look at his relationship with Robbie, because he's just continuing and perpetuating these cycles again and again and again.
Right. Yeah. I think that's such an amazing point. And just to build on that, one of the best parts about the season is how I think it doubled down on the themes that we kind of saw a little bit of in first season, but this season really is about like mentorship and the mentor-mentee relationship, the importance of like father figures, or just like a mentor figure, not necessarily
mentor,
father. Yeah, and how like having a bad mentor or a good mentor can like make or break your path. And they showed that through so many different ways, and they also show how like oftentimes the mentor that you had will affect how you mentor someone else down the line. And I think that was a really beautiful kind of way to through line, right? That connects everything.
It's like that classic Marilyn Manson quote, raise your kids or else Marilyn Manson will. Except in this, it's raise your kids or else John Kreese will.
Is there one you take over the other? They're both
Neither. Neither, please.
Just both terrible.
Yeah, the one scene that really sticks out to me when we talk about that theme is when Johnny takes Miguel to, what was it, like the burger place? I don't know if it was McDonald's.
Yeah.
I think it was just a
Over
burger place.
fries. And
Yeah.
they're eating fries together.
Yeah,
Goes
and
to
like
the hospital.
I was like, okay, I was like, this is nice that like they're finally having this one-on-one dinner. Like, listen, one-on-one dinners are very important. But even more than that, when like Johnny starts talking about like what happened with his kid, and then like he talks like literally the hospital's down the street. I was like, oh, we're going there. And like Johnny's like literally like trembling, trying to like say what he's saying. I was like, wow, you guys are really. First off, shout outs to the
Billy
the actor.
Zabka.
He acted his ass off in that scene.
Homeboy gets me choked up in this show more than I was expecting in the Karate Kid Soft Reboot YouTube series. Like, there's some shit where it's like, damn, homie, that was badass. Like, all right. When are we gonna go back to kicking people?
Gotta kick these tears away, bro. But yeah, how did you all? Was that a moment that really stuck out to you, or were there any other moments that really stuck out to you when we talk about that theme?
One, I love that scene. I thought it was really beautifully done. I think also, however, another time that I felt really like, I don't know, like kind of like this is really nice about mentorship was when Daniel brings Sam into the dojo and like tries and recruits her to actually like participate again in karate uh, for the first time. And I know she was inspired after the tournament to participate. I thought that moment was really nice also because we know in season one he was trying so hard to get her to take up karate again, and after the tournament she finally like was like, all right, like I'm in. And Danny's face lighting up the way it did was I thought that was also a really nice moment. Not obviously as powerful as French fries and conversations, but I thought this one was pretty good too.
Yeah, every now and then Danny has that moment where the Miyagi like teachings do come through, and that was certainly one of those moments.
Yeah, it's not. I think I have to disagree. I think Danny's moments of him being the sensei and teaching have got to be some of the most cringe-worthy scenes in the whole show.
Ooh, tell us more, hot. Tell us
That's a take.
elaborate.
Hot
Tell us the
take,
take. Tell us
yeah.
the take. Give us
Gauntlet
more of that
thrown.
take. Tell us more.
All right. Well, first of all, he is from start to the end of the show just like the most cocky guy. Like he's got it all. First of all, he's loaded. He's got a great job. He's got the perfect life. He's got everything that Johnny wants. Um, and he's just like so arrogant. And when he teaches like his daughter, and when he's teaching Robbie, it just it's just very cringeworthy to watch for some reason. And he's got some of the weirdest. I'm not really a big fan of his acting either, to be honest with you, in this show. It's not the same as when he was acting in the movie. I just feel like his acting kind of fell short in season 2 for me.
So it's not even just Danny. You think that Ralph Macchio is part of the issue in your eyes?
Yes.
I can respect it. I disagree, but I can definitely respect it. I can respect it. I think we all agree that Danny's just a prick in this season for sure. I definitely think there were some moments where I was like, Jesus, Danny, what are you doing? Like when they were at like what was it, like the festival? It was like, yeah, I'm gonna break the ice in front of everyone. It's gonna be so cool. It's like, bro, like what? What do you what? Or when he like made the video. And like he was just like,
The
yes.
snake in the grass.
I was like, oh my gosh.
It's like, why do you got you're sitting here under your bonsai tree meditating all high and mighty, yet you're throwing stones. Come on now, buddy. But that's
It's just
also what
that-
makes this drama so good.
Yeah, he's trying too hard to be his sensei. Johnny, the thing that I respect about Johnny is his own person. He's not trying to be Kreese. He's trying to be Johnny. He's just trying to be a better self of himself.
Was he though?
Danny-
See, I don't know.
Was he though?
Ooh, I like
think
this. Keep going.
Season one Johnny is literally Kreese Part 2, and it literally took the tournament and watching his son get cheap shotted for him to want to change the way Cobra Kai was doing things.
I
but
think
that's
they
the-
both want to be idealized versions of their senseis.
Right.
Johnny wants to be Kreese the badass, not Kreese the child choker.
Right, exactly.
Danny,
Oh my God,
Danny-
Mark.
Danny
Oh,
Danny
Lord,
really
fair.
wants to be Mr. Miyagi. He wants to be full of little Zen chestnuts of wisdom and all that. But at his heart, he's kind of a dorky used car salesman, and he's not really good at that. When he embraces being Danny, then he's a pretty damn good sensei. But when he's, spitting out empty platitudes and trying to do the whole wax on, wax off thing, it doesn't always work for him.
And I have to add also that Kreese is alive while Miyagi is dead, and so
Yes.
there's that
Yeah.
idealization after
Mhm.
someone passes away where all the little things that we think that annoy us about them fall away. And I say that not as a negative, but it is what it is,
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
really love. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't know. Like I valued Johnny's attempts to replicate Miyagi's teachings, but he also did it in his own way. Like when he went to go watch the Devils play on his phone, right? Like Robbie was on the tree trying to land this move, right? Like I love that. I really enjoyed that scene a great deal. Like, I just feel like Johnny acknowledging the impacts that those teachings had on him and his excitement to have an opportunity to impart that wisdom to someone else.
You
Like
mean Danny?
you just
Danny.
felt that sense of joy, and I feel like it's like a father who was teaching his kid for the first time anything, right? Like any of their passions. Like I know if like I had to teach if I had a kid and I taught him how to play an FPS shooter for the first time, I would probably be nerding out like on like level 10,000, right? Like I don't know. I feel like I can't knock the guy for his cheesiness because like I can see myself doing the same. Maybe that's what it is.
It's that generation gap where Daniel's super excited because he's like, oh man, when I do the wax on wax off thing, oh boy, that blew my mind when I realized what he was doing. I can't wait to do that. And it's like, Danny, these kids all have smartphones and anxiety and shit now. It might not work with them. You gotta adapt. You gotta grow with the times, and that's like one of the big themes of the show. I feel
they did prove that neither Johnny nor or Danny are capable of any type of like social media or technology.
Yeah, I really liked when Danny gets those two kids, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be able to teach," and then he's like, "Okay, do wax on, wax off." And they're like, "Hell no!" And then he wants
this is suspicious as shit.
He gets Dimitri, who's like completely incapable of doing anything.
Now, speaking of Dimitri, and this is something that I did want to touch on because we talked about a little bit when we mentioned the episode where Johnny sees his old friends. How this season, yes, it's about Johnny. They double down on that and increase, but they also like give a lot of backstory to the secondary characters, not only in this show, but also from like the original movies, right? And one of those characters is Dimitri. And I'm sure we all got a lot of thoughts on Dimitri. So I'll just say this. I liked Dimitri a little bit more this season compared to the last season, but he was still mad annoying.
Agreed.
I think I said it in our last discussion. I love Dimitri, but part of me hates him because that was me in high school.
Oh no!
Ooh, you're too smart and nerdy for push-ups. Ooh, shut up. Shut up and go punch a bag.
How did you all feel about like his backstory and also like how he evolved during the season?
Dimitri was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go for it, please. I'm always so quick to talk.
All right. Well, long story short, I don't really have much to say about Dimitri, but he's just hilarious to watch. It doesn't even look like he really is trying at the beginning, but you come to realize that he really does want to learn because he wants to be able to stick up for himself, and I think we can all like have some empathy towards that because we actually know people in our lives that have experienced those types of problems, whether it's in school or outside of school, and it's kind of a hard thing to watch when he's like not able to defend himself, and even his friend Hawk is kind of like going hard on him. So it's very nice to see him learn and progress, and he does have a cool scene, which I think we're going to be talking about later on.
He's got an overabundance of confidence, but all that confidence is rooted in self-loathing. Like there's the one discussion they have where he outright says he's like, yeah, my plan is like I'm just gonna study really hard and get a really good job, and then like when I'm 30, I'll seem like a real catch.
Oh god.
And it's like that kind of mindset. So seeing him kind of be like, maybe I should join this karate class. It's like that's some fun character development. But the whole him and Hawk conflict, I think, is great until we get to the payoff in the finale. But we'll get to that.
Yes. So
we'll get to that.
I think it's impossible to talk about Dimitri without talking about Hawk because like their conflict is so central. In some ways, it's almost like we have three like there's so many like rivalries, but it seems like the main three are in a way are obviously Johnny and Danny, and then we have like Robbie and Miguel, and then we have like Hawk and like Dimitri in a little way, but also like there's also like Miguel and Hawk. Like there's all these like little rivalries, but
And then like Sam and Tori.
yeah, Sam
Yeah.
and Tori, and then there's also like Johnny and Kreese, and then yeah, there's a lot of little things. But regardless, I do think it has to be said that when Dimitri does finally like do the move in the freezer, I was like, Dimitri, I'm proud of you. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Like not Johnny, excuse me, Danny finally got through to him. I was like, good for you. You blew off your wife and like you're like being a really like just shitty husband and
my
father right now.
gosh.
But like, you know, like good for you for actually figuring it out.
Everybody likes to watch a nerd learn to throw a punch.
You know, when and I know like the whole Dimitri saga begins with that Yelp review of Cobra Kai, and I mean, of course, I mean the nerd is the internet keyboard warrior, as
Yeah.
fitting as that is, and you know when Hawk approaches Dimitri for the first time about it, like, you know, like it's I forgot who mentioned, like, his confidence is through the roof on Dimitri. The guy's got a mouth. If I had to depict an animal that represents Dimitri, it would be a chihuahua.
his spirit animal's a chihuahua.
Because my man is all bark, no bite, and like he can just yap 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 yap, and like I don't know, like so many times I was just like, dude, just shut up and do it already. My man's got an excuse and a reason for just about everything under the sun, which like young Padro like totally relates to, and like I don't know, like I was my overall opinions on Dimitri are not tied to his antics as much as it's tied to like his level of confidence. Because I was with it. Like he had this like I don't give a fuck attitude while also like seemingly giving one at the same time, which like I appreciate it. But you know, did he do anything like that really blew my mind at the party? He did. Outside of that, like maybe not. You know, but the party was like his moment.
Well, we'll definitely
you
get to the
mentioned
party. I think the first thing that we gotta talk about is the mall scene, because I think the mall scene where like he gets confronted in the comic book store, and then it turns out to like literally a war in the mall was insane. But that might just be me. How did you all feel about that?
I love it. I love that part.
My man put his running shoes on. Let me tell you something. He could have been a track star, this Dimitri kid.
Oh, definitely. This is actually going to get to like one of my criticisms of this season. One of the few criticisms I have of the season is just that like the fight scenes I think get like so wild that it's just like, is there like
Yeah.
what is like everyone's just
They're a
gonna
little
watch in
silly.
the mall, or like everyone's just gonna watch at the school or whatever, and like the choreography is really really good. Like
Yeah.
from on a technical level, it's great. I just think it gets to a point where it's so over the top that I'm just like, okay, are we gonna try and be serious? Are we jumping the shark? Like we can go
Yeah.
either way, but let's choose one.
I completely agree, Adam. I was gonna say the same thing. I know we talked about in season one where it was like the style of fight also relates to style of genre and
Yes.
production design.
Mhm.
And it kind of skirts the line for me a couple of times where I don't know how to register the series. If that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? I don't know
Yes.
what it wants.
Right.
And so if this is again, I'm projecting, but if the production team needs to be clear on that specifically, so I as an audience member know how to register that. And I kind of couldn't a couple of times
It
this
reminded
season.
me a lot of when Scott Pilgrim versus the World was coming out.
Yes.
Edgar Wright described it. He was like, it's like a Bollywood musical, but instead of breaking out into song, people break into fights. And like that's what season 2 I feel is fully embraced. It's just full on goofy. Like, I mean, the high school fight alone, I loved it, but man, is it goofy.
Oh, it's so goofy.
It's insanely goofy, but it's also like the Raid, but in a high school.
That's what I'm
like,
saying. It was like
Yo,
these people are like literally
people
trying
are
to
doing
kill each
wall runs
other.
and shit. It's like, remember when the crane kick was the craziest thing to happen? as a
Yeah.
kid?
Remember when they actually fought in tournaments and not like actually tried to like physically and like emotionally like destroy someone's life while at school? Like what?
Remember when karate chopping through ice was the feat of strength, not like backflipping off of a staircase and throwing 5 guys into a locker and then
Literally.
tipping over a table and going fucking nuts, bursting through glass in a computer lab.
Insane.
And you know what? It's so cool seeing the different styles of fighting. Like Miyagi-Do is like very, very defensive, and then Cobra Kai is very offensive. And the
Yeah.
mall scene specifically, you get like a good glimpse of that because Robbie's like defending Dimitri, who's like running away from everybody, which is pretty cool.
No, it is a really good point. And like we've said before, the issue is not the choreography. The choreography is very well done. And to Andrew's point, they do a good job of showing how like it's not just one-on-one fights. Like there's also like a tag team fight. There's also just a really big group fight. Sometimes there are the one-on-one fights. They offer variety, right? It's not the same thing every time. I hope we don't get a lot of weapons involved. We had some weapons involved in the scenes. It's like let's just not go there. Like we don't need guns. We don't need knives. We don't need to turn into John Wick. Like let's chill out. Like this is the extent I think that they should go. Otherwise it gets like too wild and I think I get taken out. Like if we want to jump the shark and go full Fast and Furious, we can. We just need to all be uniformly decided that that's the direction that we're gonna go.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when what was it? What was it? Was it a knife that came out at one point during the season?
It was a sharp object. It was not a
Yeah,
knife. It was
right.
something. Yeah.
Right, and like I don't know, like that felt like a big like miss for me personally. Like I totally agree with you. Like the less weapons in this, the better, because like I don't know, like it's a karate film, and like I don't see a place for it anywhere. You know, I don't know. It's interesting because even the scene when Robbie like confronts like his two buddies,
Yeah.
and you know, like goes underneath the camera, whatever. Like I don't know, like that, even that, or like when he staged or under the pier at the country club.
Yep.
And he records the fight as an ad for Miyagi-Do or whatever. It's just kind of like, bro, like what are we doing here? Like that, like just pure recklessness. Like that was one of those moments in the series where I'm like, all right, this is pretty stupid.
It's like introducing guns to Pokemon. Like
Yeah,
karate is the
Great.
backbone.
That's it.
Mark, you are on fire tonight, bro. You are on
metaphors
fire.
I'm glad
Yeah.
somebody. thinks
You
so.
are on fire tonight.
It's a show that's where the currency is karate. The main conflict is around strip mall karate. If they use anything other than specifically karate to fight, I feel like the soul of the show and the franchise is in jeopardy.
Absolutely.
I don't want anybody. Oh, this is the Rocky moment where you're gonna fight a wrestler. No, none of that. Pure karate, not even Muay Thai, just karate, generic karate.
Yeah,
Muay Thai
I
would
agree.
do it though. Muay Thai would be so relevant.
go ahead, Andrew. What are you gonna say?
No, I just completely agree with Mark. He's on fire tonight.
Absolutely.
Hitting the mark.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing about that mall scene is just that I think that's when you like really see that like the Hawk is fucking unhinged in this season, bro.
Absolutely.
Like he
Hawk
like
is fucking
I
good.
was like, this dude is a psychopath. What is happening?
No, he's honestly so freaking like ruthless in this season, dude. Like he doesn't hold back. Season 1, he's like starting to like embrace Cobra Kai, but season 2, he becomes the definition of Cobra Kai in this season.
Yeah, honestly, the whole Hawk Dimitri conflict, it's one of my favorite little bits of the show because it's genuinely very sad in the way it's presented. A lot of the other inter-character conflicts, it's like they're tragic in like, you know, I guess you could call it like a cinematic way, where it's like, ooh, there's the, you know, the student and the mentor, or, you know, oh my what's the word I'm looking for? My estranged son, you know, and all this stuff. And then this, it's like, no, it's just two high school kids who grew up together and enjoyed playing video games and watching the Doctor Who. And now one of them is really fucking angry and has become an asshole. And the other one is like, why don't you like getting dominoes with me anymore?
I have a question. I was thinking the
it's
same
rough.
exact thing. I was like, I think it reminds me of a lot of like middle high school boy relationships.
Yeah.
And I say this as a girl who had a lot of girl friends growing up, that this to me felt very like young boy. Like I was like, whoa, this reminds me a lot of the stories I've heard from like guy friends of like falling outs. And I think it does that in a good way, I would say.
Yeah. Like I've never had anything quite this dramatic. but you know, there's definitely that coming of age thing where it's like,
Male
you know,
friendship.
it's some one of them is still, you know, ooh, what's gonna happen on the next episode of Spider-Man. And the next guy is like, that shit's gay. That's stupid. I'm above that now.
No, you know what I also was thinking of with the Hawk and Dimitri. It's cool because these two are both nerds in season one, and they're very like nobody really pays attention to them. They get picked on and stuff like that, and they get bullied. And it's crazy to see that the Hawk becomes the bully, and he becomes the one that attacks, and then Dimitri's the one that wants to just defend. So it's kind of crazy seeing these two nerds branch off. One guy goes to like the dark side, the other one just wants to learn to protect himself, and he stays good.
Why did you call Danny the light side? I'm really curious.
Oh yeah.
I really want to double down on what Mark and Abby touched on, because during the first season, one of the criticisms that we had, what was that, right? The relationships between the high schoolers were just that. They felt very high school, just like, oh no, like like I really like this boy, or I really like this girl, but like I saw her do this, she's definitely not into me. Like it's like, oh my god, get me out of the simulation. But then we finally see like. We see this conflict where it's so like authentic and real, because like
It's gotten a little deep.
yeah, kind of like what Mark said. We've all been there before, maybe not to that degree, but we've all been there where we had that friend that we grew up with that we might have like just, you know, sometimes you just drift apart, and sometimes it's good, and other times just like, nah, like I'm way cooler than you now. Don't even talk to me anymore. It's like we've all
goes by and you like totally different things.
exactly
Like, where'd that come from?
and we've all seen it before, and I think
Yeah.
the not only is it good in terms of like, yes, it's much better than the other high school relationships problems that they kind of brought up, but it's also really good in the sense of how it kind of develops over the season, how there's like these little like you know, back and forth, right? We have him when he gets like literally like assaulted at the mall, right? But then there's that party scene, and then later on there's the actual like fights and everything like that.
I was just about to bring up their little party.
I was about to say, I want to talk about the party scene. Let's talk about the party scene.
But
What was that?
That little Hawk Dimitri back and forth, where
Yeah.
I noticed they keep giving you glimmers of hope with characters that you're supposed to not like. You get the scene with Kreese at the VA. You get the scene with Hawk where he and Dimitri actually just have a conversation for a bit, and you think it's gonna go great. You think Hawk could be redeemed, and then he dumps that fucking drink on his head, and it's like, that I'm not even like. It's just a bummer. I'm not even like, ooh, drama. I'm like, that fucking sucks, dude.
Dimitri gets him back so good
He
though.
got him back really fucking good.
So good.
So good because he's a bedwetter.
In a way, only Dimitri could. He
Oh,
used
yeah.
his strength of having a big ass mouth.
I died in that scene, by the way.
How else did you all like that? Not particularly just the Dimitri like call out, but also just that entire party scene in general.
I kind of like it. I think the show does. I mean, it kind of does lean into that Riverdale Netflix teen drama
Yes.
sometimes. But I kind of do. But I mean, if you think back to the original Karate Kid from the 1980s, it kind of is a teen drama with like, it literally is a teen drama. They're in high school, you know? And so I think kind of sometimes going back to those roots of like those kind of locations where it's like, oh, it's the party. Oh, it's the skate mall. I think the skate mall actually did a better job than the party at that, where it's those kind of situations that are reminiscent of the original series, but again with the next generation, if that makes sense.
No, I completely agree. And also, we haven't really brought up Tori, but the whole
Oh,
scene
gosh.
when Tori catches Sam and Miguel, oh my
Ooh.
gosh, I was really pissed. Sam is one of the worst characters in the show. I just want to say.
I'm gonna be honest,
Sam.
Andrew. I didn't think you'd be this negative, but I'm so happy that you are. I love hearing these takes. Keep going, bro.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, like Sam gets rip roaring drunk and she comes up to Miguel and she's like playing mind games with him. Miguel's just like, like just cut it out, Sam, and she just like
Just
goes in
chilling.
for the kiss. And Tori's such a cool character. Like I really I like she was one of my favorite characters in season 2. And her spotting it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is Degrassi. This is
It's a
become-
crack.
I feel you. I feel you.
Yikes.
Like we also have to remember for a hot second, like one, like Miguel was a nerd. Sam was the first girl he really spoke to. Like Tori wasn't in the picture obviously because she's new to the series, but I absolutely agree that Sam was definitely playing games. Like she clearly had an interest in Robbie. You know, seeing Robbie around the house and stuff like that, and even looking back to the mall scene, right? Like Sam ignores Miguel's calls because Robbie was coming by. Sam never told one of the other never told Robbie about Miguel, never told Miguel about Robbie. Like that whole dynamic was interesting because even when you think back to like the beach party, where Sam and Robbie show up together, and this time Miguel was drunk. So before like they even got into that whole debacle where they stopped talking the first time because Sam's mom took her phone away, and Miguel had the whole situation completely wrong. But even then, right, like that dynamic between Sam and Robbie was there, and yeah, manipulative. I absolutely agree. I don't hate Sam. I think
I
she has
don't
plenty of
either.
redeeming qualities that come up throughout the series, but the manipulation. I'm a poor boy Miguel. I feel you, bro. I feel
Yeah.
you deserve better.
I don't
It was
hate her. I
Tori.
just
You
think
deserve
she's really
Tori.
bland.
Well,
I'm never
go ahead, Mark.
really interested. I don't really hate Sam. I just think she's really bland. Like I'm never really interested in the elements of the tween drama going on. Those parts are the ones like her whole thing with Tori is, and I mean this is indicative of my main problem with this season, where it's like they first meet, right, and it's at that like the country club or whatever, and they get off on the wrong foot, and Sam accuses her of this total stranger of mugging her mom, of pickpocketing her mom, and then it's immediately revealed that no, she didn't, and that's the end of it. She never says, "Oh, oops, sorry, my mistake. I guess I misjudged you," or anything like that. And that's the catalyst to their whole petty rivalry, where they're all just like tripping each other and shit. There's every other teen character gets a lot of interesting drama except for those two. I feel them. I feel like it's too petty to be all that interesting.
Abby, you sounded like you
I
had some
agree.
thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yes.
My thoughts are
No, I said Abby. Cause
I mean, I agree with both. I mean, like you literally just put it. I think everyone else is really well developed, and I think it's indicative of like I don't want to say women in media, but like they're just not very deep. And you could label it off as like, oh, it's just that petty thing, and then you build from there. But it's like that really doesn't logically make sense for the
They
established.
don't get a lot to work with.
They don't get a lot to work with, and that's not. I mean, an actor is given the script they're given, so like I have no like like they did the best they could.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
With that, but it's like I completely agree. Yeah, I just think it's really shallow. And then I think especially at the ending, it has a lot of like almost internalized misogyny and like the finale kind of where it just doesn't seem to be genuine, and their anger at each other seems like it doesn't seem genuine in the context
It was
of the
an
world.
odd reason to kick off
Yes.
that big crazy fight.
Yes.
Being
Completely agree.
her being, I saw you kissing my man, and now I'm gonna murder
you.
Yeah.
And it's like that could be another, thing that lights the spark. But I don't know.
And I think it was weak. I think
it was a bit of a jump for her to go full blown crazy like that.
Agreed. And I think that's because the finale is so dynamic and it has such serious ramifications. And the fact that that's kind of, again, like you said, the catalyst, I think is a little, like it's a reach to get to that.
Absolutely.
I personally feel.
I was really happy that Tori went after Sam, in all honesty.
They just keep coming. The takes just keep coming.
No,
Peter.
I was cheering her on. I wasn't so much cheering on Robbie going after Miguel. I feel like that was kind of unfair. But Tori going after Sam, I was like, you know what? Give it her. Rip her hair out. Do whatever you gotta do. Like, bring it on.
She's going full Feruza bulk on the PA system, and Andrew's just sitting there like nodding, like.
I will say though that like the Tori Sam dynamic that was generated, it gave Aisha more screen time.
Yes.
I do like Aisha.
Yes.
I like her.
I agree.
In the middle of like all of those interactions, like she was a part of it, right? Like her and Sam were friends for such a long time, and like they grew apart because Sam became popular, and then here comes Tori, and Tori and Aisha start becoming really close friends very quickly. After Tori kicks Miguel's ass in the dojo on her first day, and then there was also like, then Aisha brings Tori, obviously where the whole thing sparks off with the pickpocketing, but you know, but even then, like as Sam and Aisha become close friends again, like even Aisha is kind of torn in the midst of all the mayhem, and I think she ultimately decides to side with the Cobra Kai, obviously in the midst of the whole fight. But it's just very interesting how that was like the only other way they were able to tie Aisha back into the story again. Or like when I feel like she had such a bigger role to play in Johnny's development more than anyone else's. And I thought she also had a lot of really hot takes at various points when talking to Miguel and Hawk. And Miguel, Hawk would try to like, she was like the angel on Miguel's shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hawk was a devil on the other side.
She's a vibe checker. I completely agree.
Yes,
she injects some much needed common sense into.
I was about to say that Aisha and Danny's wife are the voices of reason in this show, who are just
Really,
like,
yeah.
let's like take a step back and realize we're all being fucking dumb right now.
Let's understand that you're all getting this worked up over karate class.
like I still, I'm sorry that we have to go back to this, but like this show turns into full blown fucking gang wars, and they're fucking karate schools. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Just kids in gis like snapping down the hallways.
Literally.
No, you know what? I completely agree with you, Adam. And during that fight scene, the last fight scene, I was like, where are all the teachers? Where is everybody?
Hiding.
As someone who's seen a couple high school fights go down at school, it does take teachers some time, to get involved. Like I've seen that actually go down. But also that one teacher got absolutely clocked in the face. He was like, I have nothing to do with this. He was like, I'm out.
It fucking sucks though, because apparently Aisha's not in season 3.
What?
Oh, what?
Yeah, the actress, she revealed it over the summer on Instagram. She was like, yeah, they couldn't figure out what to do with my character or whatever.
Are you for real?
And it's like
That's ridiculous.
That's terrible.
That's actually really messed up. I actually really liked her character.
Yeah,
too.
I am disappointed.
What do you do with her? Where does she fit into the story, right? Like, considering how season 2 left off, there's really no place to have her outside of like maybe visiting the hospital and like sitting there. She's just gonna play the same very like minimal impact role on the
Disagree, because I feel like Miguel and her represent again the new generation of Cobra Kai, which is like women, different bodies, like people of color, like, and I think that they kind of were that show point of that, and so by getting rid of her, I feel like it's like that's really a disappointment because
she had a lot to. It's like I get that they have a lot of plates spinning. They have a lot of characters and a lot of plot lines that need to be tied up. I'd prefer Aisha come back than Tori. Tori doesn't really have
agreed.
Other than be edgy.
Yeah. And it's not like every single character in the show has to have an arc. Like, it could be okay for a character to just be off to the side while, like, the 10 other arcs going on are progressing.
Aisha's arc was done like 2 episodes after she joined Cobra Kai.
I agree. Yeah,
she was a trophy nerd. She joined Cobra Kai. She got confidence. That's her arc, and now she helps other characters along the way. Sometimes you need characters that can do that.
Exactly, because then you're just gonna have tension and nothing getting solved, and then it's just a mess.
That's the big issue I had with this season. Because I enjoyed the season. I liked a lot of stuff in this season, but my biggest issue was the way that it manipulated some of the conflict. And I feel like the big one is the at least the most notable one is when they trashed Miyagi, though.
Don't get me started. I'm sick to my stomach.
Oh, I want to hear it. Let's go.
Okay, so I love that as a plot point. I think that's great. I think them stealing the Medal of Honor was the cherry on top, where it's like, ooh, you scumbags. Like, you can hate their dojo, but don't you mess with a dead man's Medal of Honor. Ooh, it really gets you pumped. And then the immediate aftermath, right? Oh no, Daniel-san and his students, they go to the dojo. Oh my god, it's trashed. Oh my god, the medal's gone. Oh my god, they graffitied his car. He drives off to Cobra Kai. He's really pissed. And he gets there and he walks in and he goes, "You sent your Cobra Kais to besmirch my dojo and mess it up." And Johnny goes, "What are you talking about?" And Daniel goes, "You know what I'm talking about." And then the scene ends. When in reality, he would say, "Look at my car outside. Somebody here did that." And Johnny would go, "Oh my God, I swear I had no idea." And then he would make them do burpees until one of them broke, or he would immediately tell Kreese to get the fuck out. I don't have a problem with characters acting irrationally or emotionally or jumping the gun, and that's how conflict happens. But when the scene ends 5 minutes before they would have naturally left, it feels like you're stretching shit out. It feels like you're forcing a square peg into a round hole to make drama happen. And this season did that a lot.
I couldn't have said that better myself either. I'm sorry to cut you off there. I totally agree. I think we said this last time that like many of their issues could have been resolved via text message. I feel like oftentimes and like sent a picture of the dojo, took a and been like, look what you did, look what you guys did, like it's all right here, and like they just never had the ability just to like have a conversation for like a hot second.
This just occurred to me now. Did Kreese know that Hawk took the Medal of Honor? Did he know he had that?
That's a good question. Because
I'm curious how he would react to that. I wonder if
it's a World War II
hey.
veteran and a Vietnam veteran. I feel like they'd have some kind of fellowship.
Definitely.
You know?
That would definitely be a very...
That'd be even more interesting. Let's go to season 3, where then we have a moment where he's like, "Yeah, and I stole his medal," and Kreese is like, wait, you did what?
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't there a scene though with Kreese where he was like making up some stories when he was in the war or something like that?
There was.
Because like it made me wonder like what if Kreese was lying about himself being in the war, or if he got like
just a lunatic,
dishonorably charged,
just the guy who wants to beat some children.
So my suspicion is that he was a Vietnam War veteran, and that like the stuff he said after was like, "Oh yeah, this is why I left Cobra Kai, because I wanted to go off to be a badass," kind of thing, and he was just lying to save face. But if he actually did lie, like that's even more wild.
Or if he got dishonorably charged or something, or discharged, I mean.
That's true.
Yeah.
Something like that. But, yeah, Hawk took it way too far stealing the Medal of Honor. I was like, you know what? You can trash Miyagi-Do, but put Miyagi-Do's Medal of Honor back right now.
Yeah.
I was so pissed.
Oh, I was heated. Don't even get... I was right there with Padromi. I was heated. I was like, I hate this dude.
Miyagi.
That just led me to even think more so again that like Hawk is psychotic in this season. Like it's like
Hawk.
Literally.
Whoa. I have to agree with Mark here that, and again, this is one of my few criticisms of the show, but it's the same thing as like season 1, where it's just like, oh man, like the conflict just so happens because like the characters can't talk, or like it just so happens at this one exact moment that Johnny sees this or Danny sees this, and you're just like, huh, you're just exactly as I thought you were. God. And it's like, oh my God.
That's 90% of Daniel's dialogue when he's in the same scene with Johnny. And like it happens to everybody. You know, they go to the skating mall, and it's like the first thing that should happen is Sam should go, "Hey, about that day at the beach club, you know, I made a bad call. I'm sorry. I had a lot of stuff going on. I hope there are no hard feelings." And then Tori could turn around and be like, "Nah, fuck you," and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm like, Sam, you're an idiot. You no wonder she hates you. You should understand this. If you don't want this to happen, make it right.
Yeah, like you would think that she would have learned that lesson, especially from season 1, of just like not owning up to her mistake, like with the car ramming into Johnny's Johnny's car. Like you would think that she would have learned the lesson, but like it's like, oh my God. And
even Johnny does it then. Then season finale where Danny comes to his apartment to find his missing daughter, and all he knows is she went to a party and got really drunk and didn't come home the next day.
Yeah.
And he's trying to be like, "Hey, my kid's in there, let me in." And Johnny starts getting aggressive with him. It's like, what the no wonder you're having a kung fu fight in your living room. What do you expect to happen?
I completely agree. That scene, I would say made me uncomfy, but it was like, that's what a father should do. Or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Underage. It's like, ooh, cool, they're fighting again, but
you're gonna do whatever you can, and you think they're, I don't know. Like that was kind of odd to me. I do have to say.
It's I don't know. it's so easy to say like, oh, you fix it just by being like better writing. Like it's very easy to say that. Obviously,
Yeah.
easier said than done.
From where we're sitting.
But I do think that it is a key weakness of the show, and it kind of brings it down. And in some ways, it kind of it's to the detriment. Like, yes, it's good because then when we have like, characters like Aisha and Danny's wife, whose name I'm forgetting, it's just I'm brain farting. When they're the voices of reasons, because you're just like, thank God that like, someone's actually acting like the audience is just like, yeah, we should be normal people and like talk things out. But it is a detriment.
And you can still have it not work out, even if they do talk things out. Case in point, Dimitri and Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
They have a full-on conversation where he's like, man, what happened to you? And they talk about their problems, and then the end result is, oops, Hawk's an asshole. That's how people are sometimes, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it makes it better. It makes it feel real.
Now, was the scene where they both end up going on the same date at the same Mexican restaurant, was that this season?
That was the same episode as the party.
Season,
Yeah.
And that actually makes the party episode one of my, if not my favorite episode of the season. I thought that was. I always like the Johnny and Danny Bond episodes.
Yeah. And it goes to what you just said, right? Of just like when they actually do sit down, that's where like the real character development kind of comes, right?
It makes the tumbling down all the harder.
Absolutely.
And circumstance keeps them apart.
Now, there is a character that we have yet to really touch on, and that's Robbie. How did you all feel about Robbie this season?
I don't dislike Robbie, but he's kind of a boring character, in my opinion.
I liked him more than season 1. Season 1, he was a little too... He went from, like, beginning of T2 John Connor to, like, gee golly gosh, Mr. LaRusso quickly.
That's very true.
This one, he at least has some interesting stuff. He has some cool flawed moments. I like that he had the little being sneaky with the Medal of Honor, because it's like all right, I'm glad this is back, but I'm not going to tell her because I like this girl. And it's like, oh, Robbie, that's not the right thing to do, but now I find you more interesting because you're not just a bland pretty boy. You've got your own stuff going on. The big defining moment at the end of the season was all Robbie, and that was a great moment. So maybe there's hope for him yet.
I mean, there's also like the whole bit like his family dynamic, his personal dynamic was also interesting. Like right, his mom leaving, mom returning, like with broken up with from her boyfriend she like went away with, and was checking herself into rehab, and his dynamic with like Robbie and Johnny's dynamic, and I booed Robbie just because like I'm a Miguel guy, so I had to boo Robbie out of like my honor and my allegiance to Miguel. But I agree. I think Robbie is a very interesting character. I do think, however, like I don't know, he's probably one of the more self-serving characters in the series.
Yes.
Very much about himself, very much about like what's in his best interest. Also, can't blame him for the pre-mentioned items about his father, his mother.
Yeah.
So, like I totally get it, but like,
rough life.
Yeah, it's tough.
Andrew, were you going to say something? Yeah, go ahead.
No, actually, I agree with him completely. Everything you said. He's a pretty selfish character in this season. He's all about getting the girl, learning Miyagi-Do, and he's way too hard on his dad. I'm like, come on, give him a chance. Like he's trying here. Goodness sakes.
I wonder though a little bit though is like if good-looking high school boys are kind of like that and kind of selfish. So I agree, but at the same time I kind of feel like it's like, don't you see from your dad's perspective? But it's like he doesn't because we're the audience.
Yeah.
We see from his dad's perspective.
Right.
Yeah. But I kind of know some people like Robbie in my real life, which is why I'm like, oh, he's like selfish and self-centered.
We all do. Yeah. We all know
Yeah,
someone
right?
like Robbie.
So you're like, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think that father-son dynamics also kind of what makes that like ending of the season a bit more powerful, where he does go to his dad finally, just like, I need your help, and like Johnny's just like, come in, like kind of thing, like and seeing that they finally broke that barrier a little bit, even though it led to the dumb thing of just like them fighting in the living room. It still was a really cool character moment to see them both kind of break the walls down and actually finally like somewhat reconcile. We'll see what happens obviously in the next season, but it was something that was really cool to see. I think my heart still breaks for Robbie, like with like the whole dynamic with his mom. And mom's just like, "Hey, I'm going to Mexico." It's just like
So
this poor
sad.
kid, like this poor kid. I'm just like, "Hey, mom, I want to watch a movie. Sorry, I can't. Gotta catch a flight to Mexico. Bye." Like just it sucks, and you do feel for him. I definitely agree with Mark where he's interesting, but he's also selfish and kind of like just clearly a dick. But that again, that goes back to that theme that we talked about before. Like Robbie didn't have a good mentor, right? And he's finally getting a good mentor, and it's going to take time for him to like unlearn so many of his tendencies that he's had developed because of the path that he was on before he met Danny. And I think that in Robbie is a very, very good example of that. Do we want to just talk about, now that Andrew mentioned it, do we want to talk about the finale where Miguel literally almost died?
Now that Andrew's back, do we want to talk about Miguel's back?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Insane.
Oh my god. You are on fire, Mark. All right. Well, I guess we'll talk about it. So I did not. I knew it was the season finale, so I was expecting something big. I was not expecting something that big. Where it's literally into a fucking gang war, the raid style in the high school. I was like, oh my god! Like they were literally trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
And then there's the security guard too, who's just like, "Don't worry, I'll help out." And then like he literally starts assaulting the Joe. Just like, what? Is no one gonna say anything? What? How did you all feel about it? Please tell me.
Loved the fight scene. And who's that one? He's like older than everybody, but he's in Cobra Kai.
Stingray.
Who?
Stingray.
Stingray. Oh my gosh, he's so freaking hilarious. I love that guy.
You know?
He was freaking awesome. But oh my gosh, like they went from like 0 to 1,000 in a matter of seconds in the whole fight scene. It was crazy.
That fight scene was the straw that broke the camel's back on Donnie's redemption arc, which is Cobra Kai. Like,
oh yeah,
everything about that entire situation just completely collapsed Johnny's entire world. And I know I'm jumping the gun here, but I'm so crazily worried to see how his world implodes and how Johnny responds to losing everything as a result of what transpires in the school that day.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that
one thing's for sure, his son's going to jail. What was that?
Everything that could have gone wrong in that situation did go wrong.
Oh yeah, his son's gonna be going to juvie. That's for sure. Crazy.
I literally thought Miguel died. I'm not gonna lie.
For a second there, and then I was like, no.
Well, my man's on life support.
Yeah.
Like, he can still die, y'all.
You're
He's
right.
on life support. Like, we don't know what's gonna happen, you know, in the next season. Like, you know, I mean, just like everything that just transpires in the fight. Like the worst part was that like. And this is what I loved about Miguel's character, and just going back to that mentorship thing, right? Like, even in that big brawl, Miguel was reflecting back to his conversation with Johnny, and decides to show Robbie mercy, and Robbie's self-serving, selfish ass comes around and back kicks Miguel off the fucking balcony. Are you kidding me?
It's like almost, I don't want to say like overhype it, but it kind of almost is Shakespearean where it's this your pseudo son does the right thing, but then your like biological son does literally the horrendous thing.
Yeah.
And so it's tragic. It's literally it's like a tragedy.
It's a kid who has tried so hard not to become his father, becoming worse than his father in a moment of weakness.
Yeah. The sins of the father go to the son kind of thing.
You know, it hits hard.
It really does, and I again, I think it was a completely wild way to end the season. I was just like, okay, I'm a little taken aback here. This is a little too much for me, but it's nonetheless incredibly powerful. Like Johnny comes into the season like he has Cobra Kai. His mentor comes back, and he feels like that he's finally making steam and making a better Cobra Kai than he ever had, right? And then he ends the season losing Cobra Kai to the man that he wanted, the worst person he could ever give it to, right? The person he wanted it to get away from. And at the same time, too, the reason why the catalyst for this entire growth phase for him was Miguel, right? And suddenly he finds himself, Miguel, in the worst state possible, and it's his fault, like it's his responsibility. And he's rightfully so, like completely broken at the end of the season, right? Johnny, so much of this season is about him unraveling like himself and his own relationships. And again, he is the MVP of the season. Like when we touch on when he sees his old friend and like they had that conversation near the fire. Shout outs to Fireside Conversations, by the way. Always deep stuff comes from those. But the way that like he was just like, yeah, like I never just got over Ali. And like there's certainly like a cynical part of me that's like, bro, like that was like 20 years ago. Like you need to move on. But at the same time, it's like, I feel you. Like, I get it, man.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Like, it can hurt. Like, the not only the way that it happened, but also, especially if you don't find anything like it ever again, it hurts. Like, it's just like, it was the one that got away, right? And he's trying so hard to just be better, and to see it all crumble down in front of him, everything that he's been building, it was heartbreaking. It really was.
And I wonder, I want to ask you all this, because like, the thing is Adam and I have talked about tvtropes.com, which is like a great website for talking about genre and stereotype. But for me, so Johnny is like technically by this is like where it's the butt monkey, or it's like kick the brat while they're down. And I wonder, and I honestly, I ask y'all, like, I don't feel like it's earned, because sometimes when with a character, you're like, you want them to be taken down a peg, you're like, it's time for their comeuppance. But I almost feel it doesn't feel almost right, because I feel like he's done so much work to better himself, and it just, I don't know if it feels earned, because it feels like he's been trying so hard, but he doesn't need to be punished. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I think it's not so much a question of whether it's earned. I think it's more how is it meant to make us feel, which for me was really, really fucking bummed.
Yeah.
I was heartbroken. I like I said before, I love Johnny so much in this season, and seeing it all crumble, it was just like, damn, man, I'm so sorry.
The worst part for me was the dojo was losing the dojo to Kreese. It was just salt on the wound. It's like, all right,
yeah.
all
And
this, you could come back from all of this. You know, he'll be on machines for a bit, but he seems to be like he's gonna be okay. You can mend these relationships. You could fix this. Kreese still has the dojo. Dream's dead. It's over, man. And it's like, where are we gonna go? What are we gonna do now?
Go ahead, Andrew.
Lost the gym, the girl, the kid, his son. He lost the Danny.
He lost both of his sons.
And even Danny's right there with him. You know, Danny's coming at it from a place of like, I'm gonna do right by Mr. Miyagi. I'm gonna do Miyagi-Do. I'm gonna teach, honor and mercy and all that. And his star pupil just fucking crippled the kid. And it's like, what started this whole brawl? It's like, well, my daughter got drunk and made out with the wrong guy.
My daughter
like, so now I have to, as a parent, that's a rough thing to deal with, where it's like my kid's sneaking out and getting drunk at parties. Oh my God. It's like everybody's in a bad place at the end. It's a real feel bad ending. The only person who has anything going for him is fucking Dimitri, and it's not earned. Dimitri should not have beaten up Hawk. That doesn't work. In terms of power levels, Hawk is up there, okay?
No, you're totally on. Yeah,
Hawk's
totally
a
right.
solid A or B tier. Dimitri's still in like D. He's down there. He's low tier, and he pulled out that win. That is nonsense.
If you guys think about it, Sam is the reason for everything going downhill.
Oh my God. I cannot.
So technically, it's Danny's fault, because that's his daughter.
Anyone agree with me here?
I mean,
Really, it all
Another-
comes back to Miyagi for saving Daniel from getting murdered
Exactly.
by.
They're not
It goes
blaming
back to
Miyagi.
Miyagi.
They're not doing this, guys. They're not blaming
Really,
Miyagi.
Florence should have told Juliet.
All right, Andrew, I'll let you go. Go ahead. Tell us why you think it's all her fault.
I'm sorry.
Okay, the freaking love triangles for one.
Yeah.
2, he gets drunk, and Johnny's just trying to be a good guy, and he's like, you know what, just crash at my place until you recover from your hangover. And Danny's like, open the freaking door, I'm gonna kill you. It's my daughter in there. And then she's like the whole reason why Miguel gets kicked off the staircase. Like freaking, like she literally ruined Johnny and Miguel's life in season 2.
Okay, that's harsh.
And for all we know, Miguel could not even come back. For all we know, Miguel won't even come back in season 3.
So
Oh,
Tori
he's
started.
coming back.
Okay, Tori started the fight. She literally grabs the school PA system and puts it on blast.
It was
bro.
Tori being a loony, being
Like-
a
like-
straight up
No,
loony
what?
thick.
What do you expect Sam to do? She's like, I know karate, bro. I'm gonna kick that ass.
I know
God.
karate, bro.
You know?
Dude, Team Tori though. I really do hate Sam. I really don't like her.
I think it was clear that you hated her. Go ahead.
Am I the only one that thinks she's an unlikable character though? Like, what's redeemable about her? She causes love troubles. She gets Miguel like almost. She breaks Miguel's spine for goodness sakes, and she causes Johnny and Danny to like probably another fight with each other. It's crazy.
I mean,
Unbelievable.
if you want to blame,
Not a fan of Sam.
if you want to blame Sam for the love triangle, you gotta blame her mother because she took the cell phone away from Sam, which started the whole
Jeez,
thing.
Oh
I
no.
cannot.
Oh no. Oh no.
Sam not having her cell phone leading up to that beach party was the root of all evil.
Oh my god.
It was It
Well-
was literally the cell phone, the thing that we felt like Johnny and Danny needed to talk to each other was the one tool that could have prevented this entire thing from spiraling because Sam couldn't text Miguel back ahead of this party. Like, ugh.
But we've all had those moments in life. We've all had our phones taken away from us, but we've never stooped to Sam's level. Can we at least agree with that?
Look,
Like,
I think
God.
I will not confirm or deny.
all I'm going to say is that what I think at the end of the day is we've touched on this is just that Sam is like a character out of like the usual teen dramas of like Degrassi and all that other stuff, right? But then it leads into like these real world consequences that are like insane. So I don't know if I hate her. She certainly can be not likable, but to what Abby and Mark pointed out, I think that her and Tori just don't have like a lot to do. They don't really have interesting conflicts, and it's I think it's a weakness of the writing. But
Yeah.
you did mention Danny's wife, who's again I'm so sorry to keep Samantha.
Amanda.
Thank you. We haven't really touched on her. How did you? What do you think of like her kind of story in this season?
I was gonna say my biggest fear, not really her story, but like kind of the ending cliffhanger, dealing with like Allie. It's the spoiler. Allie's coming
Oh,
back.
yes. I can't wait to talk about that. I can't wait to
Yeah.
talk
Well,
about
we'll
it.
talk about that. We'll talk about that. Don't worry.
Well, I don't want to say I worry for her, but it's just like their relationship. Though Daniel is kind of a dummy sometimes, they do seem to be more solid, and they've been married for quite a while.
Yeah.
So like I'm kind of nervous about that because like I honestly like these Facebook friends and parents that are the boomer generation, which is like technically Danny, like they like reconnect on Facebook and they like message old ex-boyfriends and old girlfriends, and like I've heard of like family friends like things starting like that. Like I'm being honest here. So like when I saw that, I was like, oh no. So like it's just it's also very timely, like in the zeitgeist, that it's like a Facebook
Yes.
boomer message. Like I thought that was really funny.
It's very odd because like that's the first season had Kreese show up. Now this season it's teasing that Allie will come back,
Right.
and it's like, wait a minute though, because like what what utility is she going to have in the story? Because they drop a line out in like season 1 somewhere where someone mentions her to Daniel, and it's like, yeah, I can't believe you guys dated for like 2 months after the events of Karate Kid 1 and then broke up forever. And he's like, yeah, those things happen. And it's like, okay, so obviously like Johnny has some unresolved, one that got away type feelings. But it's like, as far as we know, she's, happily married. Danny's happily married. Like, is there going to be some kind of like stupid love triangle with them
Hope
now?
not.
Or
Here's my thing.
like,
Well, one, we know that, we know from the conversation that Johnny and Danny had that Allie is still top of mind for Johnny. I mean, she's
Yeah.
one of the only people Johnny goes out of his way to send a friend request to on Facebook after like much, much turmoil. And to go back to Adam's question about Danny's wife, like I thought she was great in season 2. Like I think she brought the same stability she brought in the first season, the same kind of like the same role that Aisha fills throughout the season. I think she is an absolute champ. She puts up with all of it. She was running the freaking dealership on her own. Like, I mean, she MVP in the LaRusso household. I can tell you that much.
Definitely.
And I don't know. I don't think she gets enough credit. For how much she actually has to put up with. I'll be interested to see how she approaches everything that happens after the high school fight. It's going to be really interesting. I think there's going to be more development on that front. At least I hope so, especially if they're going to introduce Allie, who I thought was pretty crazy that, like, I mean, again, we don't even know if Allie's going to come, right? Because Johnny throws his phone into the sand. So, like, who knows if he's even going to pick his phone up and even look at Facebook ever again. Like, that could be, like, the what if moment that just never happens. Like,
I'd be fine if it was that, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that too. Like, I'm not like sitting here going like, oh my god, Allie definitely needs to come back. Like, I'm so, and I mentioned this before, like I'm so looking forward to, also terrified to see what happens to Johnny. Like, is he going to spin out of control and relapse super hardcore like the way we found him at the beginning of season 1? Is he gonna work with? I'm getting nauseous just saying the words. Work with Danny to take down Cobra Kai.
Oh my God, their forces combined.
Like I don't know what's gonna happen, and I'm like so excited and mortified and scared all at the same time.
I'm hoping we don't get a stupid convoluted love triangle, and I'm hoping that the solution to the arc isn't Johnny learns to put all aggression behind him and write
Johnny
poetry beneath a little bonsai tree. I'm looking forward to broken sucking Coors banquets out of a dirty carpet Johnny in season 3.
Oh no!
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Logan of the Karate
Oh
Kid
my
series.
God! I don't want to go full like season 3 like predictions, but my suspicion is definitely that if she does come back, I think there was like in season 1 it was offhandedly mentioned that she's a surgeon, so I think that she's gonna be the one that comes in to like fix up Miguel. That's my suspicion.
Ooh, possibly.
Specialty kind of.
Yeah.
War.
Yeah, that's my suspicion. But I'm more looking forward to seeing like if she does meet with Johnny and like they just have a frank conversation where Johnny's just like, listen, like I never got over you, because I think that's where, again, we talked about it, like that's where the show's strengths kind of are, when Johnny can actually just have these frank conversations. Like even the frank conversation that he had with Kreese and like the diner was pretty good. Like I thought that was fine. Like I felt like it was one, it showed Kreese was kind of still like an asshole, but it was still a good, honest conversation that most characters in the show never apparently have with each other. So in that sense, as well, I think that's where it's going to go. I really don't want it to be a love triangle. I agree with you all 100%. I think there's more than enough love triangles in this show. But getting back to Samantha, I did really like the episode where Danny like actually just like doubles, like he like finally stops and just like, okay, like I need to save my marriage kind of thing. Like I actually need to be a good husband and like a good like business partner kind of thing. I like that they devoted like, I think it was basically an episode to that, right? Where he does try to like just get her to forgive him and just says like, look, I'm sorry. And he openly admits his mistake. I think that was a good character moment for Danny, because so much of the time it's just like, no, I'm right, and I know I'm right because I saw it and all this other stuff. But finally, he's able to like realize that, hey, I did fuck up, right, and I do need to do something to address it.
Oh, you mean like when he redid his like first date? Was it first date? First anniversary?
I think it was like the opening of their dealership, then the opening night or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
It was very cute. I want to see Johnny kick some people now.
So I think that we've definitely touched on almost everything in this season. Before we get on into the technical aspects, like the music as well as the cinematography and all that, is there any other story things that any of you really wanted to touch on? I know we've talked about basically every single character in the show, but I'm sure that there's a couple of highlights or certain scenes that all of you want to talk about.
Was the I can't remember. I think the capture the flags part was in this season, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I just I just really like that scene when what's his name came out at the end
Stingray,
of
yeah.
yeah, that's just a highlight for me. I just really like that scene.
No, it was great. It was one of the best parts for sure. Is anyone else or anything else that people want to mention before we move on to technical stuff?
Yeah, on the topic of Amanda again, like she did tell Daniel at the end to like Miyagi-Do is done. So the fate of Miyagi-Do is also in the balance right now on a pretty much on life support. I mean, just the same way Miguel is as well. I was just remembering that she just totally like told him to shut it down. So yeah, so it really both Danny and Johnny both lost their dojos at the end of the season. So
Yeah.
and I think it's mind blowing that happened. Like here we are, we're in the karate series with no one having karate in their lives anymore, technically, at least for the time being.
That's kind of like poetry too, in a sense. Although Danny can go back to his life fine, and Johnny's kind of screwed. In all honesty, like how's he gonna pay his rent?
He can always
Yeah.
become a handyman again.
Oh no.
Can I just say, like, I'm so upset that him and like, I was so happy for him and Carmen. Like, I
That
really,
part hurt.
really was. I thought they were a great couple.
Yeah.
Like, I thought she brought a lot of like she like gave Johnny like this idea of like what it could be like if he got his shit together. Like, it almost like it motivated him a little bit more to continue to do better.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and clearly she wanted to be loved and to be in love, and like she just kept having like these bad dates, these scummy guys, and I don't know, like I loved their dynamic together, like on screen. I thought their characters gelled really well together. Even the scene at the dinner table when they were having at the Mexican restaurant, I really enjoyed that dynamic there between the girls, and even the guys that kind of started like getting into it, and it was just like funny, like seeing the girls just being like, yo, like look how dumb you guys are, like being obsessed over this karate. We could just be having a good time, like it was just bringing that level of just normalcy to the series for a moment.
I love that dinner scene because there's so many great little touches in just the dialogue. In that, there's the whole thing where they're like they're talking to the waitress. They're like, "Are you sure you don't want to write it down?" And then predictably, she does forget whatever. I think she said like no sour cream or something. And they have a little bonding moment over that. I love their little bonding moments, but I also loved the dream sequence.
Oh God!
Before he decides to ask out Carmen. I thought that shit was great. That was so one of the best gags in the entire season.
I really liked the scene when Carmen and Johnny danced with each other.
Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah.
I like their whole relationship. It's very cute and nice. In a show full of drama and karate kicks and John Kreese scheming while puffing a big cigar. It's like that's like a really nice, wholesome little bit, and it gets utterly destroyed at the end of this season.
Because Danny steals Johnny's girlfriend and the Karate Kid, and you really want Johnny to you just want to see his life going in the right direction. Then he gets Carmen, and he's like, you know what, like this is like life is good right now, and like everything's like going good for him. And I was just like really cheering him on in that scene.
Absolutely. Abby, is there anything you want to touch on before we get to the
No,
technical stuff?
Carmen was like the big perspective, and y'all touched on it because it's like John. It's like all the parts of your life being in balance, like your professional life, your personal life, your
Yeah,
familial life, your romantic
Mhm.
life, and it just kind of wrecks them all at the end.
definitely starting at ground zero for the next season.
Yeah.
Now, on a technical level, I know on the last season we talked about the music being good and the cinematography being good, but how did what did you think about this season's cinematography? Did you think it was a step up? Do you think that there was anything like really interesting and dynamic that they tried, or do you think it was the a product of what it actually is, which is a Karate Kid reboot from YouTube?
A lot of action in this season. A lot of action. So like you really did learn to appreciate the more calming moments in the show, like the scenes with like Miguel and Johnny talking to each other and kind of like connecting,
Yeah.
and even the parts with like Robbie and Danny like talking a little bit more too. You just appreciate the slow paced parts of the show in season 2 because it's very fast paced and a lot of action and stuff.
Yeah, I think the editing and the pacing is definitely improved over season one. I think season one. It's not like season one was necessarily edited or paced poorly. I think in season two, it's just that there's more and more things that are always happening that are keeping you engaged. Uh,
Mhm.
and I also think that the editing in the sense of like the different kind of cuts that they do are I was kind of shocked by that because we talked about Johnny's like emotional moments, and part of how you kind of achieve those emotional moments are through like the different kinds of close-ups and things like that. And I think the show did a very good job during those moments of showing that emotion. Did any of you have any strong feelings on the cinematography?
I think the way they shot all the action sequences was fantastic, especially like the big,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the prize pig is that high school fight with just how dynamically they got the camera to move with all of that choreography. There were so many long unbroken takes, and it's not like that alone makes a shot good,
Right.
but with all those moving pieces, it came together in a way that made it impressive enough for me to overlook how absurd that sequence was, to the point where when he went over the balcony I was like, oh shit, instead of like, this is a bit much. So mission accomplished, I suppose.
That scene when like during the high school scene you see the Hawk like starting his fight, he's like fighting time, yeah, he's like punching people. I was like, I
Doesn't he
love this
actually say
scene.
something like that? He literally goes like fighting time, yeah, or
It's
something. Or am I imagining
something along those lines. I'm taking him out of context, but
that?
he's a freaking great character, honestly.
I don't know. When I think of like, and I'm gonna say the word cinematography as if I know how to actually describe cinematography, but when I think about the different scenes and how they are shot, like I I really value just kind of like I don't know. It's almost like I value like the tech behind the shots now when you compare it to like the original Karate Kid because they filmed it very similarly to how the original Karate Kid were also filmed, right? Like nice long shots during the trainings, panning across the rooms continuously, during those trainings, like the quick action shots during the fights, like the long holds on the faces, like
Yeah.
I don't know, it just felt like it felt very reminiscent. Like I think we said this last time. It was filmed like it was done, like back when Karate Kid was first filmed, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it because like with the technology that we have now, like everything just seems so much more crisp, and obviously it feels very modern, which is really awesome because of the timeline in which it represents. Like since it's a now piece, it definitely felt like that. Although it was shot like something that was for like decades ago.
Did you have anything you wanted to add on to that?
I think everything was pretty solid, typical, but I do think there were some nice moments, especially with the episode with Rob Garrison, who played Tommy around the campfire. But
Yeah.
other than that, it was pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, I think it was definitely standard, though I definitely agree with what a lot of you have said. I'm so glad that the choreography didn't go like shaky cam, like kind of
Yeah.
style. Like they easily could have done that, but everything's nice and wide and you can really see what's going on. So we've already talked about the choreography. Like it is very good. It is very well shot. I also think that like while there was no shot that I was like, wow, that's an amazing shot. I do think that in general the production design is overall pretty good. Like I think the way they recreated Miyagi's dojo was really cool. And I in general like one sequence that kind of sticks out to me, I was just like, wow, this is like pretty well constructed as an entire set. Was like when they're trying to like learn to do like the moves together in like the little wooden island in the pond. I was like, okay, this is well constructed. It looks like this is real. And like if I was in this place, I'd be like, damn, I feel zen. You know what I mean?
It's a very nice set. It's very nicely decorated.
Yeah. Moving on from cinematography though, music has always been a really big part of the original Karate Kid series, and I think the same can be said for Cobra Kai. How did you all feel about how they incorporated music into this season?
Actually, I don't really.
Stands out,
Remember-
yeah.
Yeah, I was really stuck on that one too because I feel like first season we definitely had some of those moments, like Johnny driving the car and and Danny and Johnny singing together. Like those moments do exist. I don't know if I had a moment during season 2 where I really felt connected to a particular scene because of the song this time. Actually,
Yeah, I actually agree with all of you. I think there are maybe a couple of scenes where you hear that classic Karate Kid OST of like, Zen kind of Miyagi wisdom kind of thing. Like, but it's very few and far between. I honestly can't think of any sequence that really grabs me when I think about that. So I'm right there with you. But I honestly I don't really know if there's anything else that I have that we can talk about. Is there anything that any of you want to touch on before we get into our final ratings and thoughts?
Bring us home, Adam.
Bring us home. All right. So we'll start off with you, Mark. We've talked about Cobra Kai for almost 2 hours now.
Yeah.
Season
Good
2.
Lord.
This is it's okay because I love talking with all of you about this. This is really really fun. You've been on
Yeah.
fire all day, so it only feels natural to start with you. How do you feel overall? Final thoughts on Cobra Kai season 2 as well as your rating.
Cobra Kai season 2, I think it's good. Like I said near the beginning of the discussion, I think this was more inconsistent quality wise than season 1. Season 1 was just a straight solid good block of TV. This one, a little bit more of a mixed bag. You had some higher highs, some lower lows. Not a huge fan of the teenage drama, but hey, also I'm not really the primary demographic for that. If the show was nothing but Johnny slinging Coors Blankwitz and kicking sleazy guys in back alleys, 10 out of 10, this would be the best show ever. But for what is there, I think it's still solid. I'm still interested in season 3. I don't know. I'd give it like a strong 7 overall. It was a good season. Good job.
Okay, Andrew. Uh-oh. Did we lose Andrew again?
No, I'm here.
Oh,
Sorry
okay,
about
okay. It's all good. It's all good.
that. Yeah. I think it was a good season. I do have to agree with Mark. I think the first season was a little stronger. Season 2 was good. I didn't really appreciate the ridiculous love triangle scenes and the high school drama. I loved the fighting scenes. The Hawk, still a great character. I think he was more fun in this season, and I just hope Miguel lives to season 3. Like honestly, I don't
They-
know how they're gonna pull off season 3.
They put it
To
on the
be honest
Twitter that he is alive, so
Yes.
that's season
Better be.
so good to hear them.
But overall, I would probably give it a 7 too, just like Mark.
Sweet. All right, Padromi, the biggest Karate Kid fan here. Tell us what you think.
Yeah. After reflection, like I definitely had a lot of hype from season 2 because I had just finished watching it before. But I think after like going through all the talk and hearing everyone else's thoughts and kind of like seeing how that's impacted my reflection, I think I enjoyed it a bunch. I'm with Mark on this one. Like I'm definitely still hooked. As you know, like I love the series as a whole. So I'm very much excited for season 3. I'm gonna say an 8 out of 10. Um, and I'm docking points for what happened to Miguel because justice for Miguel. But, yeah.
Good to hear. Good to hear, man. I'm glad you're still hooked. It would definitely feel a little weird if the biggest fan of the series here was not. Abby, tell us.
Well, I mean, last time, I think at the end of the podcast, I said for season 1, and I mean, I still believe this. I think for season 1, it's honestly one of the best transmedia sequels of a property in a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that about season 2. I don't like it as much, just honestly.
Yeah.
It's not as exciting. And so I'm with everyone where it's like, it's still fun though. Like it's still good. Like it's easy TV. I don't know if that makes sense. It's easy to watch.
Yes.
It is fun and easy to watch. It's not like I have to think really hard about it, which is fun. And sometimes you need that. I don't need everything to be an HBO miniseries. But I'm still probably a 7 out of 10. I'm a little curious though, kind of with y'all. I only think it could do one more season. I really don't think it needs.
Why do you say that? Because look at Twitter, and they just confirmed season 4 started filming.
Ooh.
See, I'm like,
Well-
it doesn't need that. So I think one more, yeah. But 2 more, it's like pushing it for me. I think it needs to like wrap with dignity. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. But I'm
with how
still
dramatic this one was, this feels like the end of a second act, and it's like now bring us home, but also there's season 4 coming. It's like
don't really need that.
Freshman, sophomore,
Let's see where it
junior,
goes, but
graduate to college, everyone. Is that what's happening?
Oh
Maybe,
my gosh.
which we don't need.
Definitely not.
No.
I'd have to agree with you that like season 4 is really pushing it. Like I don't know where they'll go, but who knows? Yeah, I didn't think Cobra Kai itself would be even a good idea, and they proved me wrong. So at least I'll give them that chance.
we'll be getting together in 2029 to discuss Cobra Kai season 9.
No.
The Rise of Skywalker.
No.
Oh man, that'd be insane.
The new original series on Netflix, The Hawk, a Cobra Kai story.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Oh no.
Dimitri, a Cobra Kai
It's the Karate Kid cinematic universe. It's starting.
John
Pretty
Kreese
cool.
gets the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh no.
They don't even need the CGI him.
Oh my gosh.
I'll make every other dojo on the planet disappear from every strip mall in the universe.
All right, someone needs to definitely Photoshop that because I would love seeing it. I think we're all basically on the same page, which is interesting because Andrew seemed like the most negative, but we're all basically think the same way about the show. I think season 1 is definitely better. It's more cohesive. It's tighter. I think season 2 does certain things better, and we've touched on those things. I really, again, I want to emphasize how much I think they did such a good job with Johnny's character and those key character moments. I think those are really what stand out to me as improvements overall from season 1. But there's definitely like the love triangles, the people just not communicating, jumping the shark a little bit with the fights definitely took me out of season 2. But I'm still excited for where season 3 goes. I mean, they're really literally at ground zero, so technically can only go up from here. So I'm very excited for it. I overall give it a matinee, and definitely am excited to see what happens with all these characters that we've grown so invested in. But without further ado, I've kept you all here long enough. I think it's time to do our sign off. So I'll just go around, tell everyone how they can follow you if you want them to follow you even. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm Mark. Don't follow me.
Okay, Mark. No worries, dude. No worries.
I'll be here. This
I
is where
respect
you
it.
Can find me
I respect
wherever
it.
this is.
Andrew,
Yeah,
anywhere
if
you
you
want
guys
the people
wanna
to follow you?
me, oh yeah. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram. It's Andrew T Mortensen. Mortensen. Everyone spells it Son. It's Sen.
Don't worry. We'll have the link in the description. I got you, bro.
Thanks, bud.
Padromi?
Yeah, just at Padromi, Padromi on Twitter. It's totally okay with me.
Hell yeah. And Abby?
And I am Abby Sherlock, Abby_Sherlock on most platforms where social media is found. Thank you.
Also,
And of course, if you want to follow me, you can find me on Twitter at Adam_bomb, bomb with 2 M's. And that concludes our latest episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Boy.
Later.